Good evening. I'm Mayor Ron Nirenberg with Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolff, and tonight we're joined by the City of San Antonio's Assistant City Manager, Lori Houston, who's here to share a little bit more about our Emergency Assistance Fund just passed by the City Council today. This is our COVID-19 update for the San Antonio community. Tonight we have 1,167 total cases confirmed of COVID-19 to report. That's up 41 from yesterday. We do remain steady at 31% of people who have confirmed positive now fully recovered, 361, with 2/3 that are still fighting the virus. Unfortunately, we are saddened to report that 4 additional folks have died in our community from COVID-19. The first was a Hispanic female in her 80s, the second a Hispanic male in his 60s, the third a Caucasian female in her 90s, and the fourth a Caucasian male in his 80s. It is important to note that all had underlying medical conditions. One of those patients was in hospice, so let's keep them and their families in our prayers. We do have some positive news to report, and that is that there are fewer patients in the hospital today as a result of COVID-19, 64 total. That's down from 79 yesterday. Of course, those numbers fluctuate from one day to the next. Today, we have 32 patients in ICU. That's also down, and we are happy to report that we've had the fewest number of patients on ventilators in quite some time. We have 20 folks tonight on ventilators. That means 80% of our total inventory is available, as well as 34% of all of our staff beds. We had a long City Council meeting today, and I am happy to report that the City Council approved the new Emergency Assistance Fund for San Antonio residents who are disadvantaged or vulnerable or somehow are not able to keep up with the bills because of lost jobs and so forth. We remain committed to ensuring that we don't leave anyone behind in this crisis and that there are resources available to help with rent, with emergency assistance for utilities, groceries, etc. We are very focused on that, and I want to say thank you to our colleagues at the court, the Bexar County Court. The judge and I put together our working groups with commissioners as well as city council members, and they've been working very hard. And all total, between the city and the county, we now have roughly $30 million in an emergency fund available to residents who need it. So great work happening through the community action working groups. Judge?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. And let me bring you up real quickly on the jail and then talk about a couple of other issues. We've now had some 36 COVID cases, 2 more yesterday. Out of the 36, 7 have recovered, but we had 26 in our infirmary and 3 at the hospital that are in dangerous condition. We're still kind of stymied with the prison system. We have 199 paper ready to go to the prison system. I did get a letter back. It seems like they've got trouble. Maybe they got a lot more trouble than we do. They say that they have the number of confirmed cases, both offenders and staff, continue to grow, and so they're having a problem in the prison system. Obviously, so are we. Maybe not as bad as theirs, but I understand their problem. But they hope to be able to get it under control here in the near future. We do have a big day next Tuesday, right? 1 o'clock. I think this is the first time in probably 20 years or so that Commissioners Court and the City Council will be meeting together. It's a big day for all of us, and that's a day that everybody really needs to pay attention to. We'll get the report back from our Health Committee about how you would transition as we begin to open the state of Texas up, which we believe that the governor, he's already stated a number of things that he plans to do. But we'll hear definitively, I believe, on Monday. Excuse me, I said that wrong. We'll hear from him on Monday, and we will have the report with the Health Committee the next day. And we're hoping that we have the right to put in the standards that need to be put in if indeed the governor follows through on what he is saying. So we think we've also going to be able to help a little bit more. We got a check for $79 million today. Not as much as the city will get. But that $79 million will go to the 500,000 people that live out in the 26 cities and in the unincorporated areas. As the mayor mentioned, we have appropriated roughly $9.5 million or so for housing, and then for rent if people get behind. and then we've also done the small loan. And so we'd be able to supplement that because I know the demand there is more than probably what we've been able to supplement. And then we got to come up with a strategic plan of how we use it. It's supposed to be used for COVID-related issues. They haven't set the final rules on it, but that's how we intend to move that forward. And we're going to have a strategic plan of how to best use that. We did have a conference call with all the mayors today to alert them that there will be some funding available, the 26 suburban mayors. So we're all moving along to try to contain this thing and to help people that need help. And then as the governor lays out his transition plan into opening up more business, we need to be on our toes to make sure we handle that right. And please, if he does it, which we believe he will because he already said he's going to do it, don't think the problem is over. The problem is far from over. And so we're all still going to have to be very, very careful.
And thank you, Judge. And yes, as a reminder, continue to stay the course. We are working hard, all of us together. We are saving lives by the work that you're doing with the social distancing. So stay the course, continue the great work that you're doing, and we'll all be better for it. As a reminder, you can text COSA.gov to 55000 anytime to get text alerts, or you can visit sanantonio.gov/COVID-19 for the latest updates. Before we go to questions, I'd like to turn it over to Assistant City Manager Lori Houston to describe a little bit about the Emergency Assistance Fund that was just ratified by Council today.
Thank you, Mayor. Today, City Council approved what we're referring to as the COVID-19 Emergency Housing Assistance Program. The total budget for this program is $25 million, and it's going to provide much-needed housing assistance to City of San Antonio residents. To qualify for the program, you must be a City of San Antonio resident, and what you would receive is you provide us proof that you are experiencing a hardship as a result of COVID-19, and we will assist you in paying your rent or mortgage related to your housing needs. In addition to this benefit, we are also providing cash assistance to those residents that need assistance with groceries, fuel, as well as medication. So this overall program is $25 million. It's going to provide much needed relief to the City of San Antonio residents, and I'm very proud of the City of San Antonio organization and our City Council for stepping up to the plate to help our citizens.
All right, thank you, Lori. And so we'll take questions now for any of us.
Mayor, the first question tonight is from Antonio Guillen of Univision. Was the city made aware of the new positive cases involving the GI Forum, and could you elaborate on what y'all know about the situation?
Yeah, so what we do know is that, yes, we were, and we're tracking that as part of our congregate settings at a Metro Health response team. And so we do know that 2 staff members were positive, but there are no residents at this point who have tested positive, and we are working with them through our localized outbreak containment measures.
Judge, I believe it was on Monday you had mentioned something about the temporary infirmaries that were being set up. I know that there is a process before we can see these actually happen. Can you explain that process and when we can expect to see these infirmaries and what they will be used for?
Well, now what I was talking about was the ones in the jail. We have one in the East Tower that we've set up that would handle non-COVID patients. And then we have another one set up in the South Tower that will handle COVID patients. And so those 2 infirmaries are giving us a lot more capacity than we have in the existing one. But that's infirmaries within the jail.
And can I clarify on the GI form, because this is important. We have 2 office staff positive. There are no staff that were tending residents or folks that were in there that were positive. It's office staff. There were 3 additional that were exposed and are being monitored, but no residents or staff that were treating residents.
On this housing assistance program, is there an expectation of the number of families that we're planning to help in the city?
Yes, as a result of the $25 million budget, we expect to help at least 15,000 to 19,000 families or individuals.
And is that like pretty much on average in terms, I don't even know if that's even a fair question to ask, but Is that kind of what is expected in terms of helping families for our city? Because that seems kind of low given our population.
That is based on our budget and the average amount of assistance that we are providing to those who are applying for the program. We will return to City Council in 30 days with an evaluation of the program and may recommend additional funding, or we may see that we don't need additional funding based on the applications that we're receiving. We also are working closely with the county. They are going to be taking forward a $4 million rental assistance program on May 5th. And then we have several other nonprofit partners that provide assistance. So where they may not be eligible for our program, we're working with our other partners, whether it be the county or other nonprofits that provide similar assistance.
I know at previous meetings on the cash assistance on groceries, it was talked about disbursement of gift cards. Is that what is going to happen? And can you explain a little bit more on that?
We're actually going to be providing cash assistance based on a household size. So if you are a family of one, you'll receive $150 in cash assistance, and it'll grow by 50 for each additional family member, but it'll be capped at $300. And it'll be direct cash that can be wired to your bank account, but if you do not have a bank account, we can provide that in a prepaid debit card.
Do they go online to apply for this program, or where do they go?
So you can call 311 or 210-207-5910, or go to our website at www.sanantonio.gov/NHSD/programs/fair housing. And we'll put that slide up on the screen later on.
Really quick, Judge, just going back to the jail, just a few more questions. Curious about inmates with underlying health conditions. Now, some that may still be in the jail, do they have to meet a certain criteria level before they are released or transferred to a hospital?
Well, with respect to the COVID ones, we have transferred 3 of those to a hospital. With respect to people that have maybe other health issues not related to COVID, it depends on how bad they are. We have room in the infirmary for them. We have some open beds for that, particularly because we started a new one. But in some cases, their illness may be serious enough to transport them to University Hospital. They go to the Bexar County Hospital.
Now, you had mentioned something regarding the Texas prison system. I feel like it was a few weeks ago when you had said that there was causing more of a delay or backup. How imperative is it that we get these 199 inmates moved in the
Well,
future?
it makes it much, much harder for us. I understand their problems, and their problems may be more serious than ours. I don't know. I don't think anybody's written about that, or at least I haven't seen any report on it. But I know their conditions are probably not as good as ours, because in a prison system, I don't know, it used to be you didn't even have to have air conditioning. I'm not sure if that's still the case. The criteria of how you treat a prisoner is much different than how you treat somebody in the jail. We have much higher standards in the jail. And of course, we've spent a lot of money to even improve that with the new two new infirmaries.
And just given the fact that we are seeing those cases again rising in the jail, does the county believe or foresee any future lawsuits from these families of these inmates that are testing positive?
Well, I think I saw some lawsuit the other day against one of the banks or something, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's not litigation brought on a number of different things in the future. It wouldn't surprise me that that were to happen, but I think we're doing everything we're supposed to be doing. I think we have a good case, and I don't think they're going to win their lawsuit.
So, Judge, does that mean people who have underlying health conditions such as diabetes, heart disease, but aren't maybe severely ill, they're still being held just general population with the rest of the inmates?
Well, first of all, we have to remember these people have probably committed some crime somewhere, and so unless they're bonded out, we have to keep them. And the question is, how do we do the best to keep them there? We're not allowed to let them out. If there's a personal recognizance bond issued by the magistrate and they have a low-level offense, we can stop that before they come in. But once they're in and serving term, unless a judge does something to release them, we have the obligation to keep them there. And what we're trying to do is make it as safe as possibly can in the jail for them.
Judge, and just to clarify, for those inmates, we spoke to a woman who says her husband, who was an inmate at the Bexar County Jail, and that he actually had some underlying health conditions. She says that he was moved from the infirmary into a cell that he shared with another inmate, and she believes he may have contracted COVID-19 because he's now in quarantine. So just to clarify, these inmates, have inmates been moved out of the infirmary at any time to be with any other?
Well, yes. In fact, I think we have over 1,000 and some odd inmates now that are in isolation areas. What we've been able to do, and some of these pods where you have 64 or 48 of them, is have a pod that where somebody may be having it, and you keep them in there, where you do it pretty much together like we did at the Southeast. You put those with the COVID in one area and those that are not in another area. But we have over 1,000 prisoners now in isolation as we've kind of spread them out. If they've been around another one that had it, we need to get them quarantined in a special area. So, yes, we've had to move a lot of people around.
And when you say isolation, do you mean like cohorting them in the same space?
Well, when I say isolation, it's not a, what is the term where I think we only have about 4 cells that way, but we have a lot of separate cells, and we have areas where we can.
I'm sorry, I could not subject you to any further torture of Nelson Wolff explaining that somebody somewhere committed a crime, and what we're going to do with criminals out of the Bexar County Jail. So not a lot of sympathy for those locked up or incarcerated. I mean, we got to treat them with respect and courtesy. I get that. But when we're sitting here worrying about their conditions, when there's citizens and people on the streets, homeless folks, people who have not committed crimes, I don't know, man. We're getting in a little bit. We just got to be careful. We shouldn't be releasing. At the end of the day, shouldn't be releasing criminals out, period. But that's what the county and the sheriff have decided to do. Is to release people who've been convicted of these crimes or who are in the jail system, low-level crimes, what they determine to be low-level. They've been consistently releasing them. So it's stuff we got to just keep an eye on and find out. But I didn't want to torture you any further with listening to Nelson Wolff's explanation on any of that. So there are some recap items I'm going to go into and pop off what we just saw in case you tuned in a little bit late. Welcome to the broadcast. We are at about 15 minutes in. We're trying to start with the 6:13 briefing from the COVID-19 City of San Antonio, Bexar County. Mayor Nelson Wolff and Ron Nirenberg showed up, and they started talking to you about the updates and the things like that. And we'll recap those here in a minute. We want to thank you for tuning in. Like it, share it, tag it, push it out there. Let's make it happen. We want to also throw out and thank our sponsors very quickly here. We are filming, as always, live from Align Mortgage of Texas, #1 VA lender in the state, soon to be the nation. So Align Mortgage of Texas, thank you for allowing us to utilize the space, man. We podcast out of here and being a good sponsor for the show. We appreciate you. The space is huge. And thank you. We also want to thank AAA Garcia Bail Bonds. As we always like to joke, 2 ways to get out of the Bexar County Jail. Now 3 ways. We've got 3 ways to get out of the Bexar County Jail. One is they accidentally let you go, which is successful. And then you can bond out with AAA Garcia Bail Bonds, family-owned business. We love you, Louie. Thank you for always putting it out there for us. And now you can say you have COVID-19. So you can run around and cough on a detention officer and potentially get released out of the jail system. So most people are kind of falling on the accidental release side. So, we'll see how that goes. So thank you, AAA Garcia Bail Bonds, Tyler Hall, and Speedy Salt. Man, we love you. Haven't seen you around the podcast in a couple of podcasts now. We have to get you back in the show. But Tyler and Speedy Salt, we're very thankful there. And our main man, Chris Marty from Rebate House, who is out there hustling, helping people get into homes with this crazy theory that he only needs to charge enough to keep the business moving. He doesn't overcharge. He turns around and says, you know what, I'm going to give money back to people who buy homes. Not just a little bit of money, right? Not a little bit of his commission, a lot of it. He's going to say, you know what, it's more important that homeowners get houses instead of him getting commission. It's a crazy thought process, which is do just enough, right? They get paid just enough, but do a hell of a ton of work. That's Chris Marty in Rebate House. He's a great partner and friend, and he's doing the best he can for us as well. So thank you, Chris, for always putting customers first. We appreciate you. Now, back to this update, man. We've got to get into it, and it matters. And hopefully here in a few minutes, we're going to make a call, and we're going to see if we can catch Councilman Clayton Perry. So if he's already tuned in or watching, I'm going to give him a call here in a few minutes, and we're going to talk to him about this vote today on the Emergency Housing Assistance Fund, the $25 million fund voted on by the San Antonio City Council today. I will give you updates on that, but let's talk a little bit about what we just heard from Mayor Nirenberg and County Judge Wolff. Can you put up slide number 1, which is the updated coronavirus COVID-19 tracking system from the City of San Antonio? Number 1.
Which one is it?
It's the black. It's the black one. It's the black one, the darker one. It should say update 1.
Okay, oh my goodness.
Is it on there?
No. It's not on here.
Yeah, it's on there somewhere. Man, we are.
Mean one, mean two, mean three.
No. Keep it looking. Keep it looking.
I'll look for it. Give me a second.
All right, it's the one that's got the map of all the city. It's on a black screen. Well, look, the cases are rising, but they're starting to steady out a little bit. We normally show the full map, but we're having a bit of a technical difficulty in locating it. Let me pull it up here real quick here. Let's see. 423. It is identified as number... Shoot, man. All right, well, we'll figure it out. We'll find it. But look, the mayor and the city, are we up right here, or is this screen gone?
Oh, no. No, you're
Oh, we're good. All right, man, technical difficulties. It's all good. We'll take it. We're a learning lesson. So today the council did vote on $25 million for housing assistance. That was mentioned by the mayor today. There was also a conversation in the update about the governor reopening the state of Texas. So how is he going to reopen the state? This is going to be a huge discussion because the mayor and the judge have different viewpoints, obviously, than Greg Abbott about where and how they should open up the state of Texas. This will matter because the governor is full steam ahead right now, wants to reopen the state. He's going to start with easing into it. So this isn't a just throw open the doors and let everybody get back to work. It's very graduated. It's step by step. It's going to coincide with increased testing. So there's a plan and a thought process from Greg Abbott, right? And that's been announced, and it will be announced over the next few days what businesses and how these things are going to open back up. But old Ron Nirenberg and Nelson Wolff have a different mindset about it, and they're still living in the fear factor game, right? What I like about what Greg Abbott's doing, Governor Abbott is thinking about the things we can do, right, and talking about positive ideas in action. Nirenberg and Wolff are still living in this fear factor thing. You know, we got to get out of that, and we got to think about, look, social distancing and all these things. San Antonians have reacted very favorably to it. They're treating it well. We see people everywhere wearing masks. If you're wearing masks, think about it. Let us know what district you live in, too, by the way. Post it in the comments. And any thoughts? Look, man, you want to push back on me a little bit about this? Put it in the comments. I'll take a look at it here in a second, and we'll go back and forth with it. I'm fine with that. But the governor wants one path. Ron Nirenberg's going to want another. And he's going to want to continue to slow this down and scare the community into this process of this slower recovery piece. Meanwhile, people aren't eating. Jobs are lost by the hundreds of thousands in the state itself. In San Antonio, we're seeing record number of unemployment claims. And the economy in San Antonio is grinding to a halt. And the mayor will tell you, well, I'm not going to worry about one job. I'm here trying to save lives. Ron Nirenberg, you have to save lives by creating jobs and opportunity too. San Antonio can't fall off the face of the earth and give up on all employment opportunities with living in this fear factor of this pandemic. Because what we're learning a lot about right now is we're finding out with a lot of the antibody testings and everything else that a lot more people have been infected than we originally thought with coronavirus. And if that is true, 2.7, I'm going to show you a news story here in a second. They think that almost 2.7 million people in New York City were infected with it based on the antibody testing. If that is true, then the number of cases are far higher. There it is right there. Man, Salo, Johnny on the spot, dude. Johnny on the spot, Salo. So if that is true, right, up to 2.7 million in New York may have been affected according to an antibody study. That means that the actual cases, right, the deaths and the severe cases are actually a fraction of what they are right now, which is, look, one death is one death too many. We all agree on that. We don't want anybody sick. And if it's one of your own family members, I can completely imagine that you're taking a step back saying this is horrible and we got to be careful. But all this comes down to hard data and facts, because if you notice, all of the projections and modeling now are reverting back to a much smaller impact. So what we've done here is, and it's a follower mentality from leadership in the mayor's office, from leadership in mayor's offices across the cities and states, is that everybody went to shut everything down based on what was happening in New York and potentially in Los Angeles. And then what we saw was New York going off the cliff, right? Hundreds of thousands of cases. Los Angeles right-sized itself. San Francisco and California has actually had a heck of a response to COVID-19. And then in the middle states, right, what we're seeing is a slower response. So it's not as devastating as it was. But as the testing, look, we all agree that testing is the number one thing here, whether it's COVID-19 testing or antibody testing. As those antibodies are tested, we're seeing more cases, which means its death rate is going to be far lower, right, than what anticipated. So the bigger question, we talk about this almost every podcast now, is we're not going to be able to break down the response to coronavirus, how this all played out, like destroying our economy, until months later when we figure out what really was the impact of COVID-19. Is the flu, right? The flu deaths, were they considerably more based on the population? SARS, H1N1 versus COVID-19. All of these we'll be able to kind of come back and revisit that, right? So it's tough to play Monday morning quarterback right now. I get that. But at the end of the day, the testing numbers are starting to show that there has been a level of overreaction in the destruction of our economy, jobs, and loss of life. I get that. The loss of life caused that. But people are losing their livelihoods. They're losing their jobs, their income, their food. We're going to talk about how the city's answer was to fix that here in a second. And we'll see if it was right later on. But it's almost going to be impossible without hard data and facts. So let's see what the mayor itself gave his update to us. And I'll go ahead and push it out here. I'll just read it to you so you'll know what it was. So we are at COVID-19 surveillance today. You can check all this out at sanantonio.gov. Go click COVID-19 surveillance. 1,126 confirmed cases in the city of San Antonio, 46 new. Notice that is decreasing, right? It's starting to drop. Deceased at 39. Active cases, 737. 350 recovered. 51 people, according to the city's most recent updates, on a ventilator. All right, I'm going to give you a little couple of more stats here on by gender. It's 51-49, still females with more cases. The death has been male at 54-46. And the age groups continue to be this mix where this 50 to 60-year-old age group, 40 to 60 is taking a bulk of the cases. But the deaths by age is well over 50. So over 50 now is carrying greater than 60% of the deaths are from people over 50. And over 60 starts to be about 60% and 65 for over 50. So it's getting pretty rough out there when you're talking about a targeted age group with underlying conditions and then the elderly, right? That is a dangerous combination. And of course, we tell our parents to stay home and don't go out under any circumstance. And I know a lot of us are living like that. We drive by our parents' house and we drop off food, and it's difficult for all of us, but that is the target area where COVID-19 is having the biggest impact. And by race and ethnicity, Hispanics are accounting for 46%, whites 23%, black 28%, and Asians at 3%. So, look, that's the breakdown. You can see, hey, man, it was, Salo. You know, we love Salo and Charlie. It doesn't matter. We love you. We love you. And we love Amado.
Amado, number one.
The number one, baby Amado. The littlest Rodriguez. And that's for Edith out there, too. So, look, again, data and stats. We'll recap this as time goes on. But today, the city is it's laying a line in the sand. Nelson Wolff went there a little bit today. How are they going to react when the governor opens the state? What is the city council going to do? Are they going to continue to ratchet down? We went to all masks, right, about a week ago now, and the masks have been implemented. Well, as of Monday, the city's responded. People are still upset. I drive around a lot, and I don't see people wearing masks when I walk into places, but that's okay. Personal freedom, I get it. I wouldn't have probably done it in the manner the mayor did it. In fact, I wouldn't have. But in fact, we watched their podcast today, right? They were talking and giving updates, not wearing masks themselves. If you go watch Houston's Mayor Sylvester Turner and many mayors across the country, as they are conducting their briefings when there's more than one person there, they're wearing masks. Hey, man, do as I say, not as I do is not going to fly. So watch a Houston Sylvester Turner, Mayor Turner press conference. He's wearing a mask. So is Police Chief Art Acevedo and their fire chief as well. So different folks, I get it. Different strokes for different folks, but if you're going to demand it from others, you should do it yourself. I mean, that's a very important point. So the Emergency Assistance Fund today, the COVID emergency housing was voted on today at the council, $25 million. That was announced today. We're going to dig into that in a second. You're going to require proof of hardship, and you must be a City of San Antonio resident. Now, there was talk that we may mirror other municipalities where we offered that to undocumented persons. We're going to try to see if we can catch Clayton Perry and get a little bit of update on that here in a few minutes to find out why he voted no. So the vote was 10-1. Clayton Perry voted no for the housing fund. And that's because Clayton, when I was listening to him, was talking about the monies we're already receiving, the cash that is coming in. And they're frankly, we don't know how many people this is going to help. And Councilman Perry talked a lot about the data-driven decision here before we jump in and allocate $25 million, right? Hey, $1 million here, $1 million there. Before you know it, you're talking about real money. But before we allocate it, what is the plan? Like, how many people are we going to affect or help? So the council's missing on that. So we're going to call Clayton here in a minute and see if we can get him. Clayton, we're going to get you in a minute here, man. Be ready. I'm finishing up this update. Got to show proof of hardship. They didn't say proof of being a resident of the city of San Antonio, but you must be a resident. We'll dig into that a little further. We're even going to offer cash on debit cards. So if you don't have a bank account, you're going to be able to get a debit card to pay for your utilities, food, and even your internet service. But it's up to $3,500 for renters and homeowners, paid to the landlord, but renters can get it as well as mortgage holders. This is what I want to hear from you. So please, let's put this in the comments if you get a chance. What I want to know is, Dina says they're 6 feet apart. Yeah, Dina, come on. You're going to tell people to wear the mask, wear the mask. Let's think this out. Right, 10 and 15 million from Lisa Chisholm, 15 million from the Fed, and 10 million from redirected funds. I'm going to talk about where the funds are coming from here in a second. You have to be at 100% of the area median income. 100%. So if the area median income is $52,000 for a family of 4, you cannot make more than that to qualify for this. Area median income, 100%. So, I got a question, man. Put it out there. Let's have the hard facts. Are you making more than $50,000 a year and struggling to pay your bills? If you are, you don't qualify. This is the scary part. We're all paying taxes. And I don't care if you're living in a $400,000 home and you had a job. Most of us as citizens, and this is the hard and honest truth about who we are as Americans, about how we save, about our financial positions. Oftentimes, we don't have enough in our savings account. It's a known fact. We don't have enough in savings. Most Americans don't, regardless of your income, to live past 1 month of reserves. We just don't save like that. The savings has decreased in this country year over year for many years, right? The savings capacity of families and people, period. So think about that. I want you to think of it. Are you struggling to make your mortgage and rent payment, yet you make more than $50,000 a year? You don't qualify for this assistance. Now, some people will say, well, we have to take care of the disadvantaged and the economically segregated and the poor. We all agree on that. People have to help each other. But there are people now, officially at this point, since it's been a month and 45 days of this, they don't have the money to pay their bills, and they may very well have been making $75,000 a year, but they've lost their jobs. So they are out of money as well, right? So this is, you begin, when you try to narrow these things in to help particular sets, which we all support, but at the end of the day, man, what you're doing is you're picking winners and losers. Right? When you draw a line in the sand and you say everybody below 50 grand can apply, and it's cash from the feds and it's cash from the city. They came up with the money from restricted fund accounts across the budget of the city of San Antonio. A restricted fund means the money is allocated. It's like the downtown parking. When the parking department collects it's not a parking department, but when the parking team collects all those resources in dollars, they hold that money to keep the parking lots going that are owned by the city, and what's extra sits in a reserve fund over here. So they're rating these reserve funds at the airport, at the parking department, and I'll name a couple others for you here. So they're rating those. Greenways and Aquifer, Alamo Dome and the convention center's been cut, the hotel occupancy tax, Market Square. They're rating these funds, right, to create this additional $10 million. And what I would tell you is, and Councilman Perry asked a very good question today. He said, where'd all this extra money come from? And now this is the beauty, and it's as far back as Cheryl Scully, when she took over down at City Hall. They lie to you about the numbers. I've been downtown. They don't tell you everything. I was on the city council. They're not truthful about where the dollars and everything are. You can't all of a sudden come up with $10 million just because you felt like it. I don't care what the situation is. Yes, this is a pandemic and it's a crisis. We can debate the severity of the crisis, but it is what it is. Raiding all these additional funds out of nowhere and coming up with $10 million when we apparently were broke not even a year ago in a contract negotiation with the firefighters. So we told the firefighters we were so broke, we couldn't pay for anything. But now all of a sudden we came up with $10 million to pay for rental assistance and all these other things. They're not being truthful about the numbers. The dollars are always there. And I've said this from the beginning, which is, Be prepared. The city can create revenue streams whenever they want. They've got the money. They're just wasting it on ridiculous projects and other spending. And if they want to, they find other ways to generate income and revenue too, through fees, tacking on a buck here, CPS Energy. So wherever they find it, parks, fees, they find a way to tax you and to grab dollars into it. City council and government never gives you back money, man. They never do. But they sure are quick to take it. And then in this particular fund, I want to know what you think about it. Let's see if there's any comments on here. Sounds like they're special, 6 feet apart. Joe Padilla is watching. Good to see you. $25 million, you're right. $50 million from the feds. They will be over. This will be over before we even do the paperwork. That's right. Kathy Foley Nichols, good point. By the time they get this paperwork and all this money out, we're going to be reopened as a state and people back to work. But not all jobs and businesses are going to be there. This is the pain we're going to see. We're going to see that we destroyed the economy and jobs and businesses, lifelong family businesses to do this. And some of that work's not going to be there. I was surprised about the money. Little San Antonio bond issues are not necessary. All right, where are we at? What else we got right here? Let's see. Default on mortgage, auto loans, trade box. When you lose your income, you become disadvantaged as well. Good point, Trey. So that's what I was trying to make earlier, which is just because you make more than the area median income, $52,000 or whatever it is, just because you make more than what's required to qualify doesn't mean you aren't struggling. But that's not what we're here for, right? I mean, we're taking our tax dollars and we're spending it and we're hoping, right? We're hoping that these resources are going to be utilized on these things. I mean, imagine your tax dollars are going to be put on a debit card to be given to somebody to pay for their food, groceries, and utilities. We take it on God's good grace, they're going to spend it on that. But it's going to be hard to track and recognize that. And it's hundreds of thousands of dollars and then millions into payments for rent and mortgages. It's getting a little bit off the rails if we cannot track it with a clean plan, and it's not available to many, right? When you draw the line, I got a problem with that. So everybody should have an opportunity to get that. It's all of our tax dollars, right? And you can sit there and say, well, yeah, man, don't pay your car payment. Well, the same could be said for somebody who's making $40,000 a month. Maybe they have a car payment. How do we verify that they are truly in a hardship capacity? We all want to help those who are in a hardship. I can agree with that 100%. If you're at the end of the road and there ain't no food on that table, we as a collective community should come together and do our best to help you. Agree, 100%. But there's faith-based, there's nonprofit organizations, there's a lot of means and mechanisms than the government taking tax dollars to pick winners and losers on who they're going to help. And that's exactly what has happened here. So they are going to roll this out, and it's supposed to be here pretty quick. I don't know how fast, but they anticipate taking applications in the next couple of weeks. We'll find the information at sanantonio.gov, and we'll push it out as it comes around. You know what an interesting point is right now? If you're behind on your rent, housing mitigation, $25 million, 15 to 19,000 individuals or families will be helped by this. That's the final update on that. I was cruising through the notes, and you know what? The one thing, I just want to talk about this because it's not from the past. All this is going on in the world. We're now raiding $10 million from these funds that had this slush fund of money, parking, airport, all these extra dollars that are stoked away that apparently can be used for anything the city wants to use them for, but they weren't before COVID-19, but okay. And they're still building the Phil Hardberger land bridge. The Hardberger Park $25 million land bridge, the biggest boondoggle this city's voted on in a decade, right? So the deer can walk over Wurzbach Parkway without getting hit by a car. So we're creating this land bridge over military. $25 million. Man, we're still building that, right? Allegedly, Ron, people are dying. I ain't making any decisions that are going to hurt and cost lives. Why are we still building the land bridge? Why are we still working on the Alamo? Right? Why are we doing all these things if we're in this crisis mode? Why are your pet projects still getting worked on? Cut them all. End them all. If it's that dangerous to where we have to take your slush fund dollars and put them towards paying people's rent, then it's time the Phil Hardberger land bridge shuts down and goes away forever. Cut that money out. Don't give them a dime more. Tell them, nope, sorry, Phil, can't build your bridge. We can freeze it and leave it. It's going to stay where it's at. Sorry, Housing Policy Task Force and the $50 million a year going to your special department we created. Can't do it. Green energy, the Green New Deal, the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, can't spend any money into that. That's not what's most important right now. all these projects now are coming back to roost, right? Because all that money was spent on all these great progressive platform ideas that seemed great, right? We're going to do all this with clean energy. We're going to do Green New Deals. We're going to make sure everybody can get a house, that housings are right. We're going to go right down all these things. And we're going to change the social contract of this city and be the most liberal, progressive city in the state, in this country, period. So all of that's going on, and then this pandemic hits, and now all that spending, maybe we want to ask some questions about why, and do we keep doing it? The Phil Hardberger Land Bridge is a perfect example. Pet projects, Anne-Marie Marshall, how can we affect that? Greg. Ray Rodriguez, how can we affect that? Man, we got to vote. Fine. And then $25 million for a bridge to a park? Yes, Liza. That's exactly what's happening. But you got to vote. Look, man, I've said it 100 times. I don't care. Just vote. I don't care who you vote for. Obviously, hopefully it's not by mail ballot fraud. We've talked about that last week. But just vote. I mean, if you get out and make a choice, at least I know you're voting and it is what it is. And if the voters choose to go down this path of these boondoggle projects, we got problems, so be it. So Phil got it funded by his other friends, according to Trey Box. We're right on that. Victoria Cavazos is in District 1. Yolanda Ramos, who knows if the receiver will use the money for its intended purpose? That's exactly what I'm talking about. Mike Mahalski, how are you? What's going on out there? Let's see here. And, all right, okay, good. I was surprised by how much that little money, little to San Antonio from Liza. Liza's out there knocking out some comments. Ray Rodriguez, Ron goes back to his old office with the high dollar curtains. The dollars are being spent and being wasted. That's City Hall, man. It's been that way routinely, and we've got to be careful. We've got to continue to track it. So great comments. Let's call and see if we can get Clayton on the phone here. Hold on. He said he said I could call him, people. We're going to do this live and unplanned. Hold on. We're going to call Clayton Perry. Let's see if we get him. Hold on. Oh, man. We're trying Clayton Perry. I have him saved on my phone as CP10. Oh, okay, we're ringing. Maybe we don't get him. I don't know. We have to continue trying him. He's a councilman, so we'll try him back if we don't get him right now. Oh, Clayton Perry. All right, we're missing him. We're going to keep trying the old man. He knows now that we called. So we want to find out why he voted no and who actually is getting funded for these housing dollars.
Clayton Perry, leave me your information. I'll get back to you soon.
We're going to leave a message.
At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or
Hey,
press
Clayton,
1
this is
for more
Prince.
options.
This is Prince from Nigeria, man. Hey, Clayton, it's Brockhouse, man. We're on the freaking podcast. We can't get a hold of you, man. We want to talk what's happening at City Hall. Give us a call back, man. We'll be going for about another 30 minutes. We'll talk to you soon. I just left a message for CP10. So, Clayton, we love you. Thank you, brother. Good stuff. Now, let's go back and look at some of the updates from the day. Can we start with number 3 there? We're going to go through some news tidbits that I found and noticed today.
Number 3 is at 2 million. I don't know why.
Oh, hold on. Yeah. Clayton Perry's calling back. All right, here, let's see. Can you hear this? Here we go, people.
Hey, man, how's it going?
Clayton, we got you on, man. You're live.
Oh, you've got me on live. Wow.
Yeah, no bad words right now, brother.
No, not at all. Never.
Man, it is good to hear from you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I am doing great. And good to hear from you. It's been a long time.
Nah, brother, I was thinking about you today as you were up there voting, and it was a 10-1 vote on that housing assistance fund. And I remember many a day it was 9-2 when you and I were voting against some of these crazy projects.
That's right.
And it was, man, good times, man. It's good to see you down there carrying a conservative mantle and fighting a good fight, man. At least you're down there. You're putting it, at the very least, you're putting out there what really needs to be said, and someone's speaking to taking care of people's money.
Well, that's the bottom line. I voted for that number 5 because that was basically all federal funds. So, and I didn't have a problem with that. And they kind of shifted the money around from one account to another. I said, well, that's a good use of our of that funding in that category. Because we do have a lot of folks that need some help, but it comes with federal strings attached to it. So this is their way to come up with something that doesn't have federal strings attached to it, and that's what number 6 was to come up, rob a bunch of different accounts in the city to fund that almost $10 million to make that a bigger pot of money. So that's what I had a problem with. And we don't even know what the scope is. We don't know what the requirement is. Nobody knows.
So
I asked that question today, and nobody could answer that. Eric Walsh couldn't, Maria Gomez couldn't, and nobody had a clue as to what's the real requirement. And I said, well, why are we going in and doing that at this point? Because nobody knows what the requirement is. And oh, by the way, we just got $270 million for the city, and the guidelines just came down last night. So that money might be able to be used for the same requirements instead of dipping in and using general funds. So that's what I think I struck a chord with some folks that, Perry's got some good points, but the mayor made his rounds and got his votes.
So two things I thought you said today during the debate that were really very good. The first thing was, and it was just comical, man. You said, "Where did this money even come from? Like, how did we come up with this cash? Because if they have extra money, that's a problem."
Yeah, and I even said, well, if they got that much money laying around, they're being funded too much. And I just got a bunch of, blank stares across the dais there. So
yeah, so what you
and that's true.
Yeah, what you were saying, for people to know, the council meeting was today, and every council member gets 10 minutes to talk. It's good to see y'all are on a timer now.
Right.
But every council member gets 10 minutes, and one of the first questions Councilman Perry asked was, excuse me, if we have all this extra money, that would tell me that these departments are overfunded, right? They have too much money if you miraculously basically came up with $10 million out of nowhere, right?
Right. And on each one of those line items, I asked the question today. I said, what's the impact of this? What's the impact of this one? What's the impact of this one? And again, there were no answers to any of those questions.
Which is stunning.
Yeah, it really is. It was just, to me, again, a boondoggle on finding pockets of money around the city that is available that goes for other things than where it really needs to go on getting back to the basics in San Antonio.
And then the second point you made was around the expectations and the metrics. And you said, look, we pretend to be a data-driven council. We make all our decisions on data, which is their tagline, right? That's what they love to say now.
Yep.
These are all data, even though the data's dictating that a lot of what's happening in our city right now doesn't need to happen. I mean, the data's saying otherwise. But they're data-driven, and yet they have no plan beyond just guessing that people need help.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I made that point several times. I said, what's the requirement? You got to come up with a requirement first, and then find the resources to fill that. 10 million might be way too much. It might be a drop in the bucket, but nobody knows at this point because they haven't done an analysis. They don't know what the requirement is out there. So, again, we didn't have to do that today. We could have gotten that data together and done this again in 30 days, just like Eric Walsh. Eric Walsh actually recommended, he said, we could take another look at this in 30 days and have a clearer picture on what this $270 million is, look at what the requirement is across the city, and then put our minds together on where we can find these resources at.
So just want to recap, just so those who are listening and those who are going to watch the podcast afterwards, the city received last night $270 million from the feds. Today, they decided to take about $10 million from general fund and restricted funds accounts. So our tax dollars, City of San Antonio tax dollars. So they could use potentially, we don't know, some of that $270 million to help with these rental assistance items. But no, they couldn't even wait. They don't know who or how many people are going to qualify for this. So they basically just came up with $10 million as quickly as they could with no real plan to execute it other than you need to be a hardship individual and a resident of the city, right? Did they define resident of the city?
Well, no, they didn't. In fact, one of the criteria is, that they didn't have any income taxes. And what that normally means if they don't have income taxes. So, this whole thing was just so messed up today. I was aggravated about it, and that's why I asked those pointed questions. But there were no answers, and the mayor and Councilman Trevino, they stood up saying, "We got to do something. We got to do something. We need more resources." But my question has always been, well, what's the requirement? How much do we really need? And nobody knows.
Well, we appreciate what you're doing. I got one more final question for you, and we're hoping we could bring you in here next week, and then we'll sit down and we'll crack open and we'll have a couple of drinks ready for you. And we'll sit here and we'll talk about the future of the city. Because I think we need to have a good discussion over what this looks like going forward. Man, you're the lone wolf down there, Clayton. And man, a lot of people appreciate what you're doing. I know you and I, when we were down there, had a great relationship. My wife would always say that Councilman Clayton Perry was her favorite councilman. I don't know why, but that did hurt my feelings. But open up the city or gradually or keep it shut, man. How are you feeling about the mayor's play on this fear factor game and this continual need to keep things ratcheted down? The governor's about to open it up. What's your position or thoughts on how you do it in a steady way?
Well, he's established all these committees and on how to handle all this stuff, and I'm not so sure that we're going to get the right answers on that. I think we're going to have conflicts from the federal level. We're going to have conflicts at the state level, and where does that leave us here at the city level? We're going to put a lot of effort into everything, and at the end of the day, we're not going to be able to execute it because we're going to get preempted by the state or federal government. So, it's going to be interesting. I think we're putting a lot of effort into something that we ought to sit back and listen to what the state says first, and then see what we can follow up with here locally. But I think the governor will start opening things up. And I think it's about high time that we do that.
Well, Clayton, we appreciate you. We always love watching you from afar, man, and we wish you the best luck. We'll try to get you in here next week. Keep fighting a good fight, talking about getting back to basics. This isn't about cutting people out, or it's not about leaving people on the edges or ignoring people in the community. It's about doing the little things that a city must do right first.
Sure.
Right? And you've been championing that.
There's expectations out there from a lot of taxpayers saying, hey, what about this? What about that? They're basic services. That's what it always comes down to.
All right, my man. We'll catch up with you. Thanks for calling back. All right, we'll see you soon.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
All right,
Talk
buddy.
to you later.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Councilman Clayton Perry. All right, man. It was a good catch right there. And he gave us some good insight in there, which is how the city council operates. I'm here to tell you. I was there. So I nobody can say, oh, Brockhouse, you're full of it. I was in the room. I was in that decision making. I saw all that. So much happens behind the scenes, outside of the eyes of the citizenry, right? In executive sessions, they talk about too much. In private meetings with the mayor and his donor class, they talk about too much. Certain people run the show down there behind closed doors. And when they come out and vote on stuff, it's like an act, like it's already been decided. Like the choices are already there. And if you notice, Clayton mentioned that. He said the mayor already had his votes. I wonder how the mayor had his votes, unless the only way he would have done that is if he would have gone from council member to council member in an attempt to get them to say yes. That is a violation of the law. It's called a walking quorum, right? Or a daisy chain is what they call them too, which means you cannot solicit people's votes before a vote. That means you're basically holding a quorum of the city council. The rules are pretty simple. If you have 10 people on the council or 11, 6 of you cannot be in the same, a majority of the council cannot be in one location at the same time unless it is put on an agenda for public consumption. So 6 or more, that's a problem. But less than 6 council members can meet. So like 3 council members can go have lunch. But if 7 of them decided to go have lunch, it's a violation of the Open Meetings Act. It's a violation of the law. If the mayor is going from person to person trying to solicit votes behind the scenes, trying to get yeses and nos, that's called a walking quorum. It is illegal. It must be done in front. The debate must happen in front of the public at all times. And it cannot happen in executive session. So, you know what? It's interesting, and we're gonna learn. We're gonna see what happens, because the governor versus the mayor versus the county judge and how this city is going to be reopened back. Look, I've already been on the record. It's time to open it back up. You open it back up gradually, right? We got to get past this essential, non-essential garbage like we talked about a couple of weeks ago. One of the dumbest things I've heard out of this entire battle, right, this entire pandemic fight, was this essential employee versus non-essential. But everybody who has a job considers their job essential because it feeds and pays the bills, right? So there's no such thing as essential job one and non-essential over here and go away. If you own a vape shop, that shop is your business. It's essential to you and your family. Just because it's not to Ron Nirenberg and doesn't make his list is ridiculous. So we got to get away from that. So we go graduates. Two things need to happen, at least right up front. Open up the businesses and start to bring people back in a very graduated manner by beginning to relax the room requirements, right? How many people can be in a place. We mask up. I don't have a problem with continuing the mask. Fine. But we open it back up so people can get their hair cut. They can do the other basic life things to get back to some sense of normalcy. At the same time, we need to ramp up testing, right? Antibody testing as well as COVID-19 testing. That has to happen. The testing and the open up should go hand in hand. But as we know, San Antonio has been drastically behind in the testing statistics in comparison to the rest of the state and nation. San Antonio has been behind in two facets: information out of city leadership and testing. They've been behind. There's no doubt about it. It's already been documented and reported. So we have to get back. The business have been on the open ground with that, but we'll see what Abbott, how he handles it and how the city responds. Because look, the city's been in battles with the State House for a long, long time. And usually the city loses, right? And state preemption will take over. So we're going to see, man. It's going to be an interesting week. But thank you to Councilman Clayton Perry keeping up the fight down there to make sure money's going to the right spot. Let's knock out some more images here as we're getting close to the end of the show. What do we got? What's number 4 or 5? Yeah, here he goes. Hair salons could open as soon as first couple of days in May. Man, I hope so. Yes. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, there it is. Lockdown haircuts. All right, I wonder which one I'm falling into right there. YouTube lied to me. Cheap clippers broke. The Crystal Maze. The wife had a go. Christ has risen. And the RoboCop is my favorite. Christ has risen. I've seen a lot of buddies in the Christ is risen phase. Yeah, that's Saulo right there. Christ is risen. What do we got? What do we got next? Opening up carelessly would cause even more pain than we've already seen. That's absolute bullshit. So, you know what? Yeah, it was okay. We already hit that one. But go back to that one about Ron's. Go back to that one about Ron right there. So this is what where the battle's gonna be, folks. And we all have to speak up about it. Look, we all have a part to do, and that's being careful, being safe, hand sanitizing, wear the mask, man. I mean, fine. There's certain things we do. If I have to wear a mask, go back and get a haircut, I'm wearing my mask. I'm okay with that. Like, it's not the end of the world. I just need a freaking haircut. But opening up carelessly, what I like about watching the mayor sometimes, right, is, man, if you don't agree with him, you're a total idiot. And that's 100% the truth. Mainly because he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. And people who act like that tend to, when somebody disagrees with them, they tend at that point to tear him down. So he's called people fools. He's called them ignorant. And now he throws out a line to the governor saying opening up carelessly, nobody, come on, really? Would cause even more pain than we've already seen. That's absolutely false. Because frankly, we haven't seen a ton of pain that wasn't self-inflicted. The pain we're seeing is the massive destruction of our economy based on decisions that probably could have gone another way. And we'll know again later on what that looks like. Would I have shut down and destroyed an entire city? I wouldn't have done it in the manner. But again, you know what? Well, we won't know how that all works out. We all want to save lives. We don't want to cause pain. And no one says Greg Abbott's going to do it carelessly. That's just the mayor playing to his liberal base, to his progressive base. So we have to be very careful with that. But I think we open it back up, man. We got to go. So keep an eye on this. It's going to be a big topic. What do we got up next? The amount of people recovering from COVID-19 is growing every day, and doctors and nurses of Bexar County are cheering. Here we go. We're flipping it around now. So peak or no peak, I don't know, but we're seeing better recovery rates across the nation. Antibody testing's indicating that there's a lot more people that were infected, which is driving down the death rate, right? The mortality rate of COVID-19 is dropping. as the number of antibody tests and results are coming in, that more people have had it than we originally thought. There is actually, I have another slide here, that the earliest known death was now found back in the first week of February. Oh, hey, that's a good one right there. Go show that one.
You want to show it?
Yeah, show it. When you're more scared of your wife than the virus. Yeah, that cat right there is, brother, you're playing it straight. I guess we're feeding in a few memes in between shows, in between legitimate slides. I love that. Keep that ring on, brother. Do what you got to do. What do we got next? Oh, man, we're already doing all the memes?
They were crossed.
Everything's all crossed up. Well, there's a bacon mask. I had to show that one, too. Get back to my news stories, man.
This one, what about this one?
There we go. Okay, we talked about that one. So that's the case that one we've already hit. That's the funding for the housing.
The files got duplicated. I don't know why.
Files are all duplicated in the system.
Yeah.
What can you scroll through there? What can you find?
Okay. The officers one?
Yeah. Put that one up. All right. Did want to talk about this. This was one of the ones that we were looking for up front. Just a quick pause out to talk about the San Marcos Police Department. We have a lot of fun on the show, and we're always goofing on things, doing memes, talking about City Hall, City Council, and land bridges and all those other things. But just a quick shout to the San Marcos Police Department, Officer Jason Putnam. His end of watch was April 18th, 2020. End of watch meaning he lost his life in the line of duty, and both his partners were wounded critically in the line of duty, Officer Franco Stewart and Justin Mueller. But end of watch on Jason Putnam. We honor your sacrifice to the San Marcos Police Department. Means the world to us, what these men and women in law enforcement do for us. But when we saw this last week, struck a lot of hearts, and we can have a ton of fun. Everybody knows my space in my heart for law enforcement and firefighters. It's huge, and I will go to bat for them as the day is long to make sure they're well paid, well taken care of, well respected, and well organized and trained to do their job. We owe it to them, and we owe it to them now more than ever. And today we add in, obviously, nurses, garbage workers, the solid waste employees, animal care services. There's a lot of people out there putting it on the line today. But Officer Putnam, we pray for you and your family. I just wanted to make sure we got that out there. Huge sacrifice every day going on in our community. And thank you, and just a big recognition for the San Marcos Police Department and their family. So what else we got next on the list of items?
I think they're memes now.
Man, you missed like about 15 slides.
They're not in the Dropbox?
No, they're in the Dropbox, bro. No, they're in there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We are having the ultimate technical difficulty tonight. Well, that just tells us that it's probably getting close time to doing the memes to wrap up the show. But look, big stuff coming. So a few things we want to remember about the city and what we're going to watch. Next week, we're going to have Councilman Clayton Perry on. We'll probably do a lovely little giveaway next week and advertise some different organizations and small businesses in San Antonio. So if you know some restaurants that need some love, put them in the comments. Put them in the comments and let us know. Because what we want to do is put some tabs out there at some restaurants and have some people go by and do some fun. We'll do some of these contests over the next few days as well. And we'll make sure that we're recognizing and continuing to push money, resources to small businesses that are struggling. We've got our first one up. It's a little place right on Bandera. We're going to talk about it here soon. We're going to put the little contest up. And we're going to put a tab at a place called Baby Shark. Baby Shark, it's a fruit and ice cream shop, raspa shop, that kind of thing. So shaved ice. We're going to do something with Baby Shark next week. It's going to be a ton of fun, man. We're going to open it up, put a tab up, and we'll let you know. And then you can show up to join us, and we'll pay for your food as you drive through to have a little bit of fun. But recognize your small business owners today. When we're talking about small business as well, the Congress just passed, the House just passed a $480 billion supplement to the Paycheck Protection Program, to the EIDL, and small business support, as well as for hospitals and other organizations right now, equipment and things like that. But the big win out of that is going to be, obviously, more money to small businesses and paycheck protection. I ran out of money a week ago, but today it got replenished, so we're going to see that come up. Because we were seeing some crazy stuff, man. People like Ruth's Chris, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Ruth's Chris, large employers, Taco Cabana, getting tens of millions of dollars of funding from the SBA and the Paycheck Protection Program. And then small businesses, micro small, getting zero because they ran out of money. My small business, my janitorial business, couldn't get nothing because it ran out of money, right? So today replenished, thank the Lord for that. That money will hopefully start coming out, but it is a drop in the bucket. We're going to need more. Small business is the engine of our city. It employs 80+% of everybody in our community, right? Those are where the jobs are created. And it's not the Ruth's Chris and the Taco Cabanas, right? It's those small jobs. You walk down, you drive down Babcock, you come up Bandera, you're down off of downtown in District 4, you're over in District 2 on Hackberry, wherever you're at, right? Northside, Paramvidal. Small businesses are everywhere in there. We need the funding and resources to help them stay open. Thank God Paycheck Protection passed. Now let's try to get those applications processed so small business can survive. The city of San Antonio, you're spending a lot of money on investing in housing. Man, I'll tell you what, invested in small business, they're going to produce jobs. They're going to last past this entire pandemic. You can pay somebody's rent, and you can attempt to do that. You've got the cash to do it now. But what about the jobs? What about the jobs? Fund the small business owners. Let them create wealth and opportunity through employment, and then that is a long-term savings goal. We got to get people back to work. That's part of why opening up the economy and getting cities going again is huge. So let's make sure that happens. So big news today on that passage. And then, of course, the politics, we've taken a break from it. So we're going to come back at that. As soon as cities and states start to reopen, politics is coming back. Elections are coming back. Joe Biden and Donald Trump, is the battle royale is coming. It's going to be fun to watch, and we'll get back into all of that. We'll see how the Donald handles the Biden and how that's going to work out. It's going to be absolutely knock and drag, and there's going to be a ton of interesting comments and things flying in it. So keep an eye on it. Oh, man, when you're the last kid to be picked for the team. Come on. So we did have one. We did have one.
I have beans, but not the other one.
Ah, man, come on. How many memes you got on there?
I have a few.
All right, go back to my memes.
Okay,
Your memes are going to get us in trouble.
That's your, sorry.
Your memes are, oh yeah. My meme's not that much better. But look, just to wrap that up before we hop into the memes, don't hesitate, right? Hold your elected officials accountable. Get out there and vote. Make the phone call and tell them what you think about these policies. Phone calls into a city council office make a difference. They really, really do. And as you call in there, it starts to raise the awareness level. And you share that information and you find out what's happening. People at City Hall are spending your money every stinking day on things you have no clue about. If you do not get back into those, ask the questions and find out where it's going, and you don't get out and vote and get engaged, then we're going to get exactly what we're going to continue to get. So please, by all means, wherever you fall on the political spectrum, vote it. That's the number one thing we can do. So let's get into those memes there. Let's just do a few of them, and then we'll break for the evening since the technical difficulties have gotten us. Okay, of course, the bacon mask is awesome. All right, we already hit that one. Thank you. Look at the greasy plate on it. Hey, look, man, if you could do this now, you can do this on election day. Damn straight. Wow. Vote by mail is fraught with voter fraud, right? It can be easily manipulated. It could be destroyed, right? You could destroy the vote counting and the vote process by manipulating vote by mail. There are literally tons of people, right? Their whole life in this country is to get people and force them into mail ballot vote so they can manipulate and cheat that vote. I'm telling you, we know who these people are in the city of San Antonio. They're hired and paid to falsify and forge mail ballots. We know who they are, and they force and prey on seniors to vote how they want them to vote. Mail ballot is a terrible idea, and when you try to extend it to everybody, it's terrible. It will be full of fraud. Seniors, disabled persons, active duty military deployments. Obviously, we want people like that who are homebound that can't get out to have a mail ballot. We want that 100%. For everybody, if you can go to HEB, if you can go to the QT, you can go vote. Keep your 6 feet, put your mask on, and go vote. It's not the end of the world. Don't do something that's so full of fraud that it's going to absolutely destroy the voting system. So, and it's going to result in people getting elected who are elected based on fraudulent activity. That's what will happen if we expand it 100%. If you got questions about it, call me. I'll tell you who these people are. And their whole job in life, pay me. They charge like $1 a vote. These people literally charge per vote. to go out and get them to vote a certain way on a mail ballot. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Next. I just had to show that one there. Whataburger, In-N-Out. Hey, man, Bautista's the man, dude. Yeah, he is. If you've watched Guardians of the Galaxy, Bautista's the man. Trump, shut the border. Media, you're a racist. Trump, shut the border. Media, you didn't do it fast enough. That's actually true, man. Wuhan virus. Trump calls it the Chinese virus. Initially, the media did call it the Chinese Wuhan virus. And then Trump said it, and the media called him a racist. We need a leader who gives us hope. Trump, have hope. You are giving false hope. That's absolutely true. What's next? So this one people are falling for all over the internet. Folks, there are no crowded beaches in Arizona. In fact, there's no oceanfront property, George Strait, thank you, in Arizona. But people are defying that stay-at-home order. Look at the people at that beach, man. Some people were literally posting this, and some people were bashing people on it. I'm like, there's no beach in Arizona. I'm just throwing that out there, but whatever. Next. Quarantine is like being... Man, I am sick and tired of celebrities telling us how tough their quarantine life is. Yeah. And singing songs and making us feel really, really, really worse about ourselves. And then you've got them living in these massive mansions saying, man, the quarantine life is so tough, right? Okay. Wear these and you won't catch any. I had to do a Cowboys joke. Yeah, man, low blow. That's absolutely true, though. Cocaine, marijuana.
How do you know about this, Greg? How do you know about this? You are from Mexico.
I am 51% Mexican.
Wow.
Hispanic, 51%. I'm pretty sure I did 23andMe. It was 53, it was 51%. Or maybe it was my mom that told me it was 51. My dad said 49, but I'm pretty sure it was mom that said 51. Go cocaine. This one's good. This one's for all you at-homers. Soccer mom on the sit and sip refillable wine bag chair. That's a total quarantine gift. Not on Amazon Prime. Okay. The believe all women and Me Too crowd with Joe Biden right now. You see, some of the ones are getting a little sketchy right there. Look at that mouse. That's the mouse from the Green Mile. No, I'm just kidding. You ever watch the Green Mile?
This is awesome.
Safe, not safe.
Walmart, yes, no parks. Stupid.
Yeah, you can't go to parks, man. And don't run behind because you get COVID, man, from all the sweat and everything splashing on you. I'm positive, but you can go to Walmart. Dude, you got to be safe you got to be careful going to Walmart in non-pandemic times. In some Walmarts more than others. We got anything else? If Donald Trump had captained that. Look, everybody gives me grief because I'm always picking on the media. But I'll pick on Donald Trump for one. There is no iceberg. We won't hit an iceberg. I knew it was an iceberg before anyone else knew. No one knows icebergs better than I do. The Penguins brought the iceberg here. No one could have predicted the iceberg. We cannot allow an iceberg to stop our ship. The crew is spreading fake news about icebergs. Some of you have to drown. I am the best captain. Ask anyone. I am the best captain. All right, there it is right there. Thank you. We had to pick on the Donald just once. It's fine. It's fine. I don't know what this one is. This one came up. When your campaign on the premise, my body, my choice, then ban people from leaving their homes.
Come on, this is your fighter.
Yeah, man. Republicans too, right? Republicans too. This is an equal opportunity meme. This could go either way.
Yeah, that's true.
You can use that, Democrats. You can use that, Republicans. That's right. Hey, look, man, we're just having some fun, all right? We had some technical difficulties tonight. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know what half this stuff was. It disappeared. Somebody snuck in here and deleted my stuff, man. But that's okay. We still muddled through it and gave you the news of the day. Here's what I want you to remember as we wrap up the show. Number one, Clayton Perry's on next week. We're going to talk about how we should open the city, what's really happening at City Hall, the hell is Ron Nirenberg doing, what is this council spending that we need to be concerned about. So we'll get Clayton Perry in here next week, and we'll have some fun with that. We are also going to do a baby shark contest. We're going to post it up separately, right? And we're going to do it, and we're going to list this baby shark contest. We're going to open up a tab over there. We're setting it up with him right now. We're not completely finalized, And then we're going to do a drive-through, and I'll sit out there and pay your tab for your family, and we'll have a good old time at Baby Shark. So I'll give you some information on that. It's on Bandera Road. And then we're also going to continue. We're going to have next week, we're going to test out a method to put the comments right here on the side, because it's hard for me to track them and push them through. So we'll put the comments on the screen next week, and we can interact and get that stuff done. But this is what it's about. Look, man, it's about information. It's about doing the best you can to have a conversation about facts, ideas, what you believe. And man, disagree. You want to call me a name, call me a name. Doesn't hurt my feelings. I've been called worse by better. So you can say anything you want to say on the show. I'll part friends with you. And if we're not friends, man, hey, have a good one. We disagreed and move on. It's not the end of the world. At the end of the day, though, facts, information, driving the decisions, and we all get a chance to vote and say what we do. There's no bigger score at the end of the day than a public vote saying, hey, man, this is what we believe. We got to hold our leaders accountable. Question, we do have to support. But this is one thing that's making me sick. It's people running around and saying, hey, man, don't criticize stuff. This is about unity right now. We all need to be together. Bullshit, right? If you sit back, man, think of the wars, the drama this world has seen from people who stood back and said nothing when good people made mistakes or when bad people were successful. If you sat back quietly and did nothing and something bad happened, yeah, you're going to feel really horrible about your inability to speak up. So always, always say what you think. And let it go, man. Let it fly. That's what the broadcast is about. That's what Brockton Loaded is about. It's putting the information out there, letting it hang. As always, we appreciate you. We will be back next week. We love you. And we always end it with the forever. Broadcast is officially out.